Welcome to Die Hard. Look at this. If you're watching YouTube, some of you guys are on Spotify, some of you guys are on Apple, some of you guys are on whatever. But if you're watching here on YouTube, we got a sign, baby. I got an official sign. It's made of steel. It's barely on the wall, but it's there. And I'm very, very excited. Shout out to Josh Fuller. This is awesome. I know you've made a lot of signs for podcasts. Maybe I'm the first guy to give you a personal shout out, but I love it. I'm very excited about it. But you having merch soon that'll have this exact branding on it. It's very simple. Die Hard, it's like that movie Die Hard, but with my name. A lot of people on the internet talking shit. Oh, real original. Yeah, that's kind of the idea. It's supposed to be simple. It's not real complex. It's not a real deep cut. So thank you, Josh, for the sign. Very excited. Thank you guys for being here. Man, it's good to be back recording in my home space. This last road trip was a long one. It was over 20-something days. Did Rogan, did Kill Tony, did Skankfest in New Orleans, went to Australia, had some shows there. And so after my long travel, actually after Australia, I went to Florida and did a show in Ponte Vedra. So I'm finally back home. And I leave tomorrow for New York. But it was very, very fun. People said, oh, Jeff, how was your Thanksgiving? When I landed from my travel, I had over 400 text messages. And you might go, that's a lot. Well, it's a lot because most of them were just happy Thanksgiving texts. They were just people saying, hey, happy Thanksgiving. Even if it was a mass text, I got a lot of just the standard happy Thanksgiving text. But also I hadn't checked my phone for over 20-something hours. The travel this was my Thanksgiving. I got to the airport 3 hours early in Perth, Australia, because it's an international flight, and I had to go all this paperwork because I have a DUI. And so I had to get to the airport 3 hours early to check a bag and then just make sure everything was in order. So I sat in the airport for 3 hours. Then I sat in a middle seat on row 30 from Perth to Brisbane, which was, this might not be completely accurate, but I think it's like a 5-hour or 4.5-hour flight. Then I sat for 3 hours in Brisbane on a layover, and I flew for 17 hours from Brisbane to Dallas. 17 hours. That plane's a little bit bigger, and I had a window seat, so that was a little bit better. Not first class, by the way. Then I land in Dallas. I have a 3-hour layover, and I fly to Jacksonville, Florida, which I think is a 3 or 4 hour flight. When I tell you my butt hurts, like my butt is sore. I'm also tall, so to be cranked up in these positions is crazy. I'm really looking forward to a cold plunge to get some ice on these knees. But I finally made it, and I've arrived. And then when I landed from those planes, it was just like, man, what an overwhelming amount of text to respond to, let alone Instagram messages or notifications or those things of those sorts. But I made it, and I'm back. Let's talk Australia. The last time I was doing a Die Hard episode was in Perth, and since I was using the studio of these Australian guys, they were kind of listening, so I felt like I couldn't really talk shit about Australia if I wanted to, because they were in there. Not much shit to talk, if I'm honest. What a beautiful country. I will say, it's not different enough to travel the 17 hours. When you go to Japan, everything's different. The language is different. The writing is different. Their culture is different. The food's different. The buildings look different for some reason. The art is different. The people around you are different. Everyone looks different than you. You go to Australia, not that different.
It looks like a bunch of white guys drinking Budweiser still.
Yeah, it's still a bunch of white guys drinking Budweiser, and even the buildings, the food, the language. I mean, they have a little bit of an accent, but you get used to that in like 2 hours. So everything is, it's like they just dumped me off in San Francisco or something. I was like, this isn't, because it's not like I was going out to the Outback or the bush or whatever these terms are. I wasn't playing the Gold Coast or playing over in Adelaide or whatever the heck these places are called. I was in the 4 biggest, most cliche cities you could go to in Australia. If I said you only get 4 guesses to guess where I played in Australia, you'd all get them correctly because it's so cliche. I played Brisbane, Melbourne, Sydney, and Perth. I mean, those are the biggest giant cities that have big buildings and skyscrapers and liberal little towns, or not little, liberal big towns. So it was very it felt like I was like in downtown LA or New York City or something. That being said, it was awesome and I had a really good time. And the best part of the trip was the shows. The people in Australia seem to be going through their fatigue, their first part of their fatigue. What America was feeling like 6 years ago or 7 years ago, right after kind of the pandemic, and being like, maybe I'm not as liberal as I thought I was, or maybe I'm not as liberal as it's becoming. Maybe I'm not as extremist about these kind of social issues that I thought I was maybe a year ago. Australia's kind of going through that now. They're kind of now realizing, oh yeah, like this is, I'm not necessarily like a Republican, but I'm also not this. I'm not like this kind of protesty Antifa person. And so they're kind of having that now. And so for my comedy to come there right now is really well timed. I'm surprised they let me in the country. They're arresting people for tweets in Australia. So they didn't let Candace Owens in the country. I'm surprised that someone at Customs didn't look through the material I do and go, no, we don't need this guy agitating people. I mean, I've got tweets that, would be considered homophobic or transphobic or, anti-Semitic. So that's really the criteria to be arrested for posts over there, at least in the current situation. So the shows, people were coming up to me like I was a hero or something. Like, thank you for coming here. Thank you for talking the way you talked. And I was like, oh, that's nice. So that part was good. And the shows were awesome. I had a really good time. Not enough shows. I was there for like 12 something days and we only did 4 shows. I don't know how to do that. I don't have a wife. I don't have a girlfriend. I don't have kids. I don't have any friends in Australia. I don't know anyone in Australia. The only person I knew in Australia was a guy I met at the airport when I landed in Australia, whose name's Dave Butterworth, and he's my he's my tour manager for Australia. But here's the thing. Dave Butterworth doesn't know me very good. I felt bad for the guy. He's thinking, it's not like Dave Butterworth hated me. I think Dave Butterworth and me are pals now. He's a really nice guy. But also, it was a working relationship. It's not like he wants to listen to me cry about what's happening on the internet with me. He doesn't want to sit with me at a coffee shop while I riff about jokes. Dave Butterworth's a tour manager who just wants to do Dave Butterworth things. He's from Australia. He lives in a little outside of Sydney, so like he wants to do his own thing. And I'm just sitting there going, I don't know how to not be a stand-up comedian tonight. I don't have anything to do. There's nothing for us to do. Once you eat, you go, I guess I'll go sit in my room. I don't know how to like turn it off from stand-up. When I'm in my regular life, right, like tonight, I'll be at the Comedy Store after the Lakers game. I know what it's like to go to the Lakers game. I know what it's like to be at the Comedy Store. I know what it's like to hang out with my buddies. I don't know how to not do anything in Australia. Like it was so stressful to try to not be doing comedy all the time.
So your hack next time, since you've been on Rogan enough, and all of the UFC fighters will know who you are because they watch everything Rogan does, is you hit up those type of international guys and say, hey, big fan, I'm in town. You invite them to your show, and they'll be happy to want to show you and take you out to places. Yeah. Half of them have their own podcasts and shows and stuff like that. But that's the community that'll all of a sudden suck you right up if you travel.
So it's funny you say that. So people did reach out that wanted to show me things, that were fans of mine, or just people I knew. So my buddy Eric Friedman, his wife now lives in Australia. They can't, the work visa, all the marriage shit is like kind of tricky. That's a very complicated process. So they're living in separate countries, which sucks. But then like she reached out and she's like, hey, what are you doing? And then I felt weird about it. I was like, I don't want to hang out with my friend's wife, like in Australia, just me and her. So I kind of didn't. And then like I had other friends who knew people who were like, what are you doing? And I just like, I clammed up. Like, I don't want to go hang out with this. It's like a blind friend date, like it felt very weird. So even that, hopefully next time I'll be a little bit more out of my shell and I'll be like, yeah, let's go to the beach together. Or let's go for whatever reason, I felt like a little like overwhelmed at the idea of going and doing things also because I'm just so used to doing stand-up comedy. The cool thing was Jimmy Dore was also there, the comedian, so that was nice. He was touring the same time I was, in the same places that I was. What else? This is kind of a silly thing, but it's true. As you get older, like old people will go, oh, it's the little things. Those are the little things. Those are the things you miss. Or when you go through a breakup, you go, oh, it was the little things that I kind of am holding on to. It's the little things about our country that I was missing while I was over there. just driving on the right side of the street, I was so happy to come home and do. The cars have the wheel on the other side, and then they drive on the other side of the road, and it was driving me nuts. Checking the street before I cross, I would think about it. When I would get into a car, I'd always get on the wrong side. When I'm walking, right, because we're on the other side of the thing, I'm walking the way Americans walk, which is just right in the way of the people because they're walking the way traffic normally walks. It was a whole thing. So those little things were what I missed most about America. Also, not very diverse in Australia. It's just a lot of white people, you know, like, and it might sound counterintuitive for me to complain about diversity, but it's like, you know, it is nice that we have a lot of different types of people in America. I didn't see one overweight person in Australia, not once. Every single person is just kind of like just like a regular white person walking around. I don't know. It didn't feel very diverse of culture or race or body type or any of those kind of things. So, you know, I'm happy to be home. I love America. Never leaving again. I love America and I love it here. And it's no wonder everyone's trying to come to our country because it's the best. This is the best. No wonder you want to come. Actually, here's another thing. Instead, I just thought about something. A lot of Asians. So I guess it was a lot of white people and Asians.
China has bought up a lot of Australia, but just like a lot of Chinese money, a lot of people are trying to get their money out of China if they're super rich. So if you look at places like Vancouver, New York, plenty of places like that, a lot of Chinese businesses and real estate are just parking money in places like that.
Yeah.
Like half of New York City is just foreign money parked there.
Yeah, so I take it back. It's white people and Asians. Asia must suck. I've been to Asia multiple times, right? I did a whole travel show where season 1 was in Asia. But Asia must be terrible. No, these Asians don't want to live there. Everywhere I go, I just see tons of Asians. None of them want to stay in Asia. They all want to be in Canada, and they all want to be in America. They all want to be in Australia. They all want there's Asians everywhere. None of them want to live in Asia. I don't know what's going on.
There are more of them than anyone else on the country. Or
in the
planet.
world,
Not country, but maybe country now.
Probably country, yeah. But also, like, it's fascinating, too, because they'll come to America and then set up, like, little Tokyo, like, right in the city. They'll just make their own little, or, Chinatown. Or, like, they'll just make their own little Asian country in the city. Like, they just set up a little city of their country. It's pretty interesting. Thought that would be whimsical. I didn't mean for it to come off edgy or offensive. What a week, man. What a month is what I should say. Getting home's been good, man. What I did watch, I watched a lot of stuff since I was gone for so long. Since when you're on planes that long and you're on holiday, look at me calling it holiday. When you're on vacation and you're also on airplanes and you're in a hotel room that long, you tend to consume a lot of shit. And one of the things I watched was a show called Physical 100. It's one of my favorite shows. I talked about it on the last episode, but it was there's a place called season 3 is called Physical Asia, where they took all the countries, and I talked about this on the last episode as well. But one of the countries was it was Asian countries, and then Australia and Turkey. Is Turkey in Asia? That's not in Asia, is it?
No, I believe it's, well, actually,
it's Europe.
Yeah, it's not Africa. It's Turkey. Let me just ask the fucking computer. Look at me, art school degree.
Europe, yeah. Oh, but also Asia. It says both Europe and Asia. Okay, so anyways, Turkey it's connected. I get it. So Turkey was one of the competing countries in the show Physical Asia. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is because anytime they would talk about their country, they would say Türkiye. And I'm like, what the fuck are they calling it Türkiye for? For centuries, this country has been called Turkey. I had to look it up. Evidently, in 2021 or something like that, like 7 years ago, they changed the name of the country to Türkiye. They just changed it. They just said, hey, listen, United Nations, listen, the rest of the earth. From now on, we ain't Turkey. We're tired of people going, like thinking that we're named after a fucking bird. We're not. From now on, it's Türkiye. And I think that's hilarious that you can do that. After centuries of being called a thing, you can just change the name of your country. Change the spelling, the pronunciation, the everything. They just changed it. So now it's Türkiye. And I immediately texted my friend. Instead of looking at the internet or chat GPT, I texted my buddy Andrew, who's Turkish. I said, when did you guys start calling it Türkiye? Like he was the ambassador or something. And he's like, oh, yeah, it's like a new thing. I think it's only been like a year. I looked it up. It's been like 6 or 7 years because it was 2021.
It's like that Latinx.
Very strange. Yeah, I think Jimmy Carr has a bit about this, but like countries do call themselves different things than like what the rest of the world does. But I think this is like the newest one, you know, because like Germany doesn't call themselves Germany. It's got like a different name. And same with like, there's all these different names that the people that are passionate about it like will be like, no, we are this. It's like, but then we just go, yeah, you're Germany, you know, whatever. So this one is the newest development in name changes. It's called Türkiye, and I am on board with it. The people of Türkiye did very good in the competition that I was watching, so I will oblige. I'll call. Oh yeah, this is.
Did you watch Robert Whittaker in it? Was he someone who was a standout on the show?
He was incredible.
All right, because he's incredible in the UFC too. Yeah, he's a fun watch.
He's got such a warrior's mentality. Yeah. Even on that show, like, while being overly competitive was fine on this show because so was every other competitor. The show is really good about being. Nobody's getting chippy with each other. Everyone's a very good sportsman on these shows. And I think that's because Asian culture is so about honor. Like, so they, like, even when they get like really big celebrating, because you think, oh, that's going to piss off the other team. They're literally dancing around and celebrating the second that they win. But then they immediately will go over to them and like make sure they're fine, and then that kind of calms all the nerves. But so there is big celebration, but then also like it's very honorable. And this Whittaker guy, you could tell he was kind of observing that and absorbing it. Like, all right, we're gonna be good sports.
He's always a great sport in the UFC too, and he was the coach of a few seasons of The Ultimate Fighter against like Michael Bisping and stuff, and he talks shit in like a very jolly chap way, like always very nice about it, and always like he's known as being one of the best sportsmen in the sport.
Oh,
like,
that's good.
Not the egotistical punk type that get associated with being fighters.
The Nate Diaz's and Ronda Rousey's.
Other end of the spectrum. Right. Yeah, he's a good
guy. He was a very good guy on this show, but you could tell there's also like a little bit of a physical advantage for any of the, like Brendan Schaub could win Physical 100 without trying. Because it's Asian. So they're like, even the strongest people are like 5'5", 5'6", you know, like those are like their strongest people in these competitions. I think that's why the original one was called Physical 100, was just being like, what is the best type of body? And we're going to keep it the same kind of like race. So we don't have to like get to, you know, because obviously it's just a giant black guy or like The Rock's the best example of like prime physical genes, you know?
Until you have people race like a 2-mile race. Rock's
True.
Well,
that's kind of what this show is trying to do.
The Rock.
But I'm saying The Rock is like, you know, he's Samoan and black. So you have like the combination of these two incredibly physical lineages or whatever it's called. But you're right. He's not going to be able to hang from a trapeze
thing. If he was just black, he'd never win a swimming event.
Well, I just like, it's kind of, so many of the competitions are about lifting or throwing or pulling or pushing or like something, you know, even like physical hand-to-hand combat is in this game or in the games. So like with the exceptions of like, you've got to hang from these rings for, you know, whoever hangs the longest wins. And then it's always like the trapeze guy or the circus guy or the whatever. But those aren't enough for those people to win. They win that competition, but they don't win the whole thing. So you'd have a giant Australian or a giant Samoan or a giant black guy, you know? I'm trying to think why I brought that up.
Because Schaub should do it?
Oh, I was just saying that. Yeah, the Asian things. So Whittaker kind of had an advantage on all the Asian guys because he's not the biggest guy in the world, but on a show called Physical Asia, he was. He was probably top 5 of the biggest guys. And then he's also a badass and he's mind strong. Like he was incredible. Like easily the top 5 guy on the show. In fact, the guy who did the best was just this giant Australian guy, but he was like an indigenous Australian guy who he looked fat. he just looked like a really nice fat guy, but he was so strong and so like badass and like so good. Also, Manny Pacquiao was on the first couple episodes representing the Philippines, but then he left the show because he had a prior engagement, which just means I'm so famous I agreed to do one day of this show. But it was really fun to watch and strong recommend. I haven't shut up about it, but I just thought it was fascinating that they call it Türkiye. I thought that was interesting. Let's talk about the social media week I've had. Now, moving forward, I'm going to try to not use this podcast or use my friends or use any of my time worrying about what the internet said. It's been a week since I've checked any Twitter notifications. It's been a week since I've checked any Instagram notifications, which is the longest I've gone in years and years and years. I'm trying a new chapter of my life where I don't look at any of those things. And it's not because I don't love you guys. It's not because I don't want to engage with you guys. It's for my mental health. I can't keep crashing out about what a bot said or about what maybe a real person is saying to hurt my feelings or because they hate me. Like I can't, I've reached my maximum. And if I do try to keep engaging and arguing and defending myself, and I do try to get a thicker skin and just deal with it like a real cowboy, then I'm just going to have to keep coming on here and venting about what someone said, and then that's not fun for you guys, and it's not fun for anyone else. So I'm going to stop doing that. But before I do, I want to say like kind of one final thing on the subject that when you become a comedian or an actor or a musician or any sort of public figure, which is kind of a funny thing to talk about because nowadays everyone's a public figure. It feels like, like once you create a social media account, in a way, everybody's famous now.
Anyone could potentially say the thing, no matter how big your following is. Yeah. If it goes viral, you're the Hawk Tuah girl come tomorrow, and a billion
Karen.
People have seen what you had to say.
Exactly. And so in this new age, where everyone is kind of a public figure and everyone's kind of famous and no one's a real star, but everyone's kind of a star. Everyone's an OnlyFans girl or a reality show person or a influencer or a chef or a comedian. Like we're kind of all these public figures. I think one thing I didn't consider when I started down this path of becoming a comedian and a TV personality or host was that you're really opening yourself up to people liking or not liking you all the time. People think they know you. When I do a show and someone shouts, like, talk about Kristen Cavallari, like, they don't even understand, like, that's like a person that was in my life. That was like a thing I went through. They think of it as nothing. Like, they think of, like, just talk about it. Just, why aren't, like, everything is somehow, it's so vulnerable to think, everyone thinks they have this piece of you. And so what makes someone hold back in a relationship, right? Like if you meet someone and you like them a lot, what makes them push away those feelings, or what makes them not want to move fast, or what is the hesitation with a relationship? Is because you think to yourself, well, what if they get to know me and they don't like me? What if they find out who I really am? What if they find out what I'm actually like? What if, like, that's all very vulnerable stuff. That's why you hesitate to let a friend in or let a partner in, is because you think like, well, what if they get to know the real me and then they don't want me? They don't like me. And that was such a waste of my emotional space. And I think that I've reached that with where I'm at celebrity-wise. For whatever level of celebrity you think I am, I think I've reached it. I think I've reached my max, is that I am sharing what I think about these subjects, what I think about comedy, what I think about wrestling, what I think about baseball, what I think about my friendships, what I think about how the world should be ran, what I think about sexuality. Like, whenever I open my mouth about these subjects, I'm opening myself up to being vulnerable, to being rejected or judged. And I think this is the first time in my life I've realized that by opening myself up, a lot of people don't like it. They don't like what I'm talking about. and they don't like my thoughts on these things, or they don't like my takes on these things. Something as simple as a pro wrestler. I go, I don't like this guy. I don't think he should get the belt. And people are like, you shut the fuck up. You don't know anything about wrestling. You're a fucking stupid idiot. And then I'll go say, hey, people, I don't think that our tax dollars should pay for this sexual reassignment. And they go, you shut the fuck up. Like, it's just, there's such an anger or such a harsh reaction to anybody having just an opinion about anything. And I think the internet is awesome, and I really love social media, and I really love what the internet's become. I love ChatGPT. I treat it like my therapist. But I think that the other side of it, the dark side of it, is I'm at my maximum. I'm at my full, I can't do it no more, as far as, people I've asked to not reach out to me. I've said, hey, boundaries. I don't want you to message me anymore. They can still just send a 7-mile long message and it's there. It's just, we just have way too much access to each other and to these things. And I've always come from a position of like, hey, I'm just talking about something, like, why? It's not really that big of a deal, is it? Like, and I've said this a bunch, and I always use this example because it's such an extreme example. That's why I'm using it. It's like, why do trans people care what I think? I'm not trans. I don't have trans kids. I work with a few trans people that I'm really nice to. So why do they need me to agree with them? They don't. It doesn't affect them. I don't need them to agree with my religion. So I always think the same thing when I'm talking about pro wrestling or baseball or my friends or comedy. It's like, you don't really need to think the same way as me. It's okay. I'm just sharing what I think. There's a comic named Ty Rivera who replied to this, or I posted a video from this podcast of what I think about why I like stand-up. And in the video I said why I like stand-up is because the sentence, biological men are stronger than their female counterparts, is the same sentence as men are stronger than women or women are weaker than men. But all of those sentences hit your ears different. And that's what I like about comedy, is that exact same sentiment, how you frame it is important in our business, and you can play with words. And Ty Rivera wrote this long tweet that was like, this over-analyzing of stand-up comedy is what is so exhausting. It's so stupid that people... And in my mind, I was like, hey, I got, a podcast where people want to hear what I think. I'm not trying to over-analyze comedy. I'm just trying to explain, how words are and how things are. I don't know. This is just my thought on it. It was like kind of a passing thought that I'm talking about on the podcast. And I'm being shit on for that. And Ty Rivera's tweet out of these responses like, yeah, Jeff Dye thinks he's so fucking smart. He thinks he's so fucking deep, but he's just a douchebag grifter. I was like, Jesus Christ. Like, it's fascinating that someone would have that visceral of a response to something as frivolous of what I'm saying. And then it's also fascinating that it got to me. I could actually see it. This person, who knows if he's even a real person or where he lives or what he does, was still able to hurt me with words. And so for that reason, I'm done. I'm out. I'm not doing the checking notifications anymore. If I'm having physical and mental reactions to these things like Red Bar or all these trolls or people, calling me all these terrible names, if it's actually physically affecting me, I gotta stop. So I'm not doing it anymore. I have a web guy named Miles who works very hard for me. I've got good guys in my life that know how to use computers like Mike here. I've got people, I'm already paying people to do this stuff. I'm not gonna ruin my brain trying to deal with all of the responses to what I'm doing. The great Jordan B. Peterson said, if people aren't listening, stop talking to them. So I'm not talking to those people no more. I'm talking to you guys, people who want to hear my thoughts, people who love me, and people who go, yeah, that's why we signed up. We'd like to hear what you think about this. And I will do my best to engage with you guys. That's what Patreon will be for. I can actually engage with people who love me, and people who are curated to. And this isn't me saying I only want to hear from people I agree with. That's not what I'm trying to say. I just can't deal with the name calling and the accusations and I went back and forth with somebody over a week and a half ago, and it was like the basic argument, or like all I said was that I sold out all my shows in Denver at Comedy Works. It's a fact. Like it's an inarguable fact that I sold out those shows. And someone's like, "Oh my God, not only are you a hack comedian, but you're a fucking liar." Those shows weren't sold out. And so then I screenshotted the website of saying that the shows were sold out. And they were like, "Comps don't count, dude." And then for whatever reason, I keep taking the bait. I'm like, I didn't comp anyone. I don't comp anyone for my shows. And he's like, "Yeah, that's why you played the B room and you hired some church to be there for whatever." I'm like, what are you talking about? Never hired a church for anything. I don't even know what he's talking about. Maybe there was a big party there that bought. I don't know if they're making it up or like what the hell was going on. But like just my argument with that person was so like 12-year-old. That person arguing that I was making it up and then me feeling the need to respond to them we were both being so immature, like in the exchange. And I was like, that's what this is? Is that what my life's become? Having these kind of like juvenile arguments with like strangers? It's just not worth it. So I'm not doing it no more. Yeah, and it's been tough for me to be unliked. I don't want to be hated and unliked. But inevitably I'm in a position now where I'm not going to please all the people, and I'm going to make mistakes and things are going to happen. And like, if I'm in this because I want everyone to like me, then I'm fucked, because that's just not how it works. And I've got to come to terms with that. Great clip that I want to play for you guys. All right, so this video is great. I tried to describe it to the boys on the Hard Yarns podcast, if you listened to that when I was in Perth. If you haven't listened to that, don't worry about it. We'll talk about it right here. But Louis C.K. was a guest on Two Bears, One Cave with Tom Segura. And they went down this path talking about something. Here's a little clip from it. It's very, very, very interesting to me. So go ahead.
A lot. That comedy should never punch down. Yeah. Well, no, that's not true. That it shouldn't never punch down.
Yeah.
You don't like comedy, or you're pretending you don't like comedy.
Exactly.
That punches down. So I was explaining this to somebody once who didn't understand what it meant. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, if you have a maid, or like, a cleaning lady in an office building who has like 5 jobs, mm-hmm. and she sees the boss walk by who's a billionaire, and she says, "Fuck that guy." You're like, yeah. Mm-hmm. But if a billionaire goes up to a little cleaning lady mm-hmm. and like spills coffee on her head and goes, "Ha ha," I was telling this person, that's not funny. Yeah. But of course, it's 1 trillion times funnier.
So much funnier.
It's way funnier.
Of course.
Than somebody punching up is crusading, and it's like, punching down is horrible.
And
it's
funny.
Hysterically funny. We're saying this thing a lot.
All right. He did it again. Louis has used words to explain something very complex. It's so... This whole idea that we shouldn't be punching down goes against everything I've ever watched in stand-up comedy. What I find funny in comedy, there's many things people can find funny in comedy, but the things I kind of gravitate towards too are naughty, or they're absurd, or somewhat forbidden. Those things seem to draw me, even though there's lots of types of comedy. There's like whimsical, there's political, there's all these observational, clean, Christian. There's so many different types of comedy. But the ones I like are naughty and absurd and forbidden, right? And so it isn't funny to be like heroic, oh yay women, yay these things. It's funnier for me to be absurd now, and naughty, and what is not allowed. And I'll explain in a second why I think this is what's happening with young people. But Louis explained it absolutely perfectly, but I'm gonna even take it a step farther. Is that, like, what does punching down mean? It sounds like you think you're at a place up here, where if I don't view the world that way, I can't really see it as punching up or punching down. I don't view the world as like, I'm up here because I'm straight and white and I have money. I don't view that. I don't think I'm better than people because of any of those things. I think that I'm just like anyone else. So I don't see them as down. When I see a homeless guy, I don't feel pity for him like he's beneath me. I mean, that guy, he's got his own life. He's made his own bed. He's been this circumstance of whatever has happened to him or he's chose in his life. Whatever those things are made him that. But I don't look out the window and go, see that homeless guy? I'm better than him. I don't think I'm better than anyone. I might be in a better position when I sleep at night, or I might have like a job or something like that. But that doesn't make me better than anyone either. I don't think that my car is better than anyone's. I don't think that my life is better. Like, I just see everyone as kind of these people. We're all these individuals walking around, and you just make jokes and do whatever. So this idea of like punching down, even if it's framed as the way society has it, then punching down is funny, like Louis said, but I don't even see it that way. I don't even view it as punching down. If anything, in Los Angeles, making fun of gay people would be punching up, because gay people are treated so great and heroic, and they're the norm. It almost becomes punk rock or naughty to punch up at the gay community, or to punch up at these protected classes because they're considered marginalized groups. Where I live, they're not very marginalized. Where I live, they're considered the greatest thing in the world, and they're like this beautiful. So I'm actually punching up by your rules in my town. Now, if I go to Wisconsin and I play a fucking, Elks Lodge, and I start going, these gays and homos, then yeah, that might be, by your definition, punching down a little bit. But where I live, I'm punching up by your definitions. The world we've found ourselves in, with just the modern technologies of AI and social media and political things and Donald Trump and Joe Biden, and just the way we've become in society, post-pandemic and political assassinations and Donald Trump almost being shot on television, just the current situation that we found ourselves in, the world seems to be in consensus about a lot of like social issues. God, I'm trying to say this delicately. It's like when you live in a world that is very health conscious or environmentally conscious or sexually progressive, we've found ourselves in a modern era where the norm is to either be very conscious of these subjects, or to at least pretend to be virtuous, or shut the fuck up. Or at least if you have strong opinions about these subjects, be quiet about it, right? So that's the kind of social situation you're in. Now imagine being a kid, right? You're a teenager, you're raging with hormones, you can't go fuck anybody, right? You're not old enough to drink, you're not old enough to smoke, you're not old enough to drive yet, you can't do anything. You're this raging ball of puberty and hormones, and you want to be naughty. When I was a kid, we'd break windows, or we would go like throw rocks at cars, or we would do things that were naughty. Now, I can't speak for girls, but I'm imagining this is girls and guys in general. When you're a teenager, you're kind of got this like pursuit of rebellion. Now, what is the most rebellious thing you could be in modern times? If the world is all being pro-environment, it'd be like, kind of punk rock or naughty to be like, I don't give a fuck about the environment, and throw your cigarette butt in the ocean. You don't care, right? Now, you could do that with kind of each subject, is like saying words you probably shouldn't say. What are the forbidden words? Fag, retard, any racial slur. So if you're going to be rebellious, those might be the words you gravitate to. That's why you see retard coming back. It's why you're hearing it on podcasts and on stage and all these things, is because the world has gotten so politically correct, for a lack of better term, that those words are now forbidden or naughty. The two categories I was talking about earlier that are very funny for comedy. What's the most absurd thing you could probably be? I never thought I would see this. A Nazi. And they're not real Nazis, but just kids dabbling on social media, making reels with swastikas and talking about Nazi stuff, or being really racist. It isn't because they're really racist or they're really Nazis. They are being rebellious. They're rebelling. They're gravitating towards this because they can giggle with their friends about how bad they're being. It's like the 6'7" thing. You heard about this? These kids, they go 6'7", and then everyone cheers. They go like this, 6'7", everyone, and all the parents are going, "Why is this happening? What is this? We don't get it." That's the joke. The joke is that you don't get it. You're adults and the kids are trolling you. They think it's funny that they have this inside joke that you don't get. That's the joke. So similar is happening with these social media algorithms with these young guys who are like, they're like, what's the guy in the Goipers guy's name that's become real famous? He's the incel little guy. I can't remember his name. His name is Nick Fuentes. Yeah, so Nick Fuentes. The reason so many kids think he's funny and interesting is because he's being naughty. He's being the heel. Now, they don't want to be, they don't even know what a Nazi is technically. They'll do these things just because it's rebellious, and so it doesn't make it right or good. I'm just explaining it that's what's happening. You don't have to think this is a fallen society. Look what's happening. They're not real Nazis. Would kill people. They would kill Jews. They would gas Jews. They would do these terrible things. These are people that are saying they're like that because they think it's funny or interesting or rebellious. There's a big difference between doing something like that and then just like trying to get attention because you're 13 and you live on the internet all day, doing whatever. I don't even know where I'm going with all this. I guess the point is, a lot of things are entertaining or funny because they're absurd or naughty. And I think we're witnessing it with young people. We're seeing it happen. And it's because the world has gotten so gay and dumb and weird that like this is now what's kind of happening.
Well, sadly, a kid at the University of Georgia, I believe, dressed as a Nazi, went out and stabbed a chick.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So some crazy people are dressing as Nazis and being crazy.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Wasn't a good Halloween costume choice.
Yeah, there's psychos everywhere. Someone tried to kill Nick Fuentes at his house with a gun like a few months ago. Like literally like showed up to his house. He'd just killed 7 people and now he's trying to go kill Nick because he thinks killing Nick is a good thing. He thinks he's heroic on the other side. This like idea of political violence is like, it's like, well,
we probably don't need to bring back dressing as Nazis.
Oh, for sure. I think it's terrible. Yeah, no, I'm not agreeing with any of it.
I was just making a clear.
I'm saying that is what's happening. I was trying to explain this to someone else about how like, racism's not real, right? Racism is, so racism isn't what you think it is. Most racists are fucking ignorant cowards who have never met the person they're claiming they're racist against. They don't even know. They would never even act on it. What it is a bunch of people looking for a group. So like they go, all right, yeah, I could say that about those people if you'll let me live here and you let me be a part of your community. You let me, there's going to be girls here. Perfect. I can say that I hate black people. And then they meet a black person. They're like, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about like, these black, but it's all like this kind of phantom thing. Most racism is just kind of this idea of like, I wanted a tribe, so I tribed up, and my tribe says these things about that tribe. It's not real. There's no actual visceral hate. I think the real problem is tribes. We're tribing up too much. Oh, I'm the Bloods and you're the Crips. Well, what's the point? Why? What is the point of it? Oh, well, I hate them because they hate us. Why? The tribe makes no sense. Oh, my culture we're Koreans, we hate Japanese. Why? What are you doing? And you can frame it as racism or culture or gangs or mob or whatever you want to do. Why are we doing it? It makes no sense. The problem is, don't like attack the symptoms of these things. Attack the fucking tribes. Why are we all grouping up? The groups are dangerous. They've been proven to be dangerous since the dawn of fucking time. It makes no sense that these groups would do these things to each other. But but I'm saying that the reason they're grouping is because they want someone to be their friend. They want some acceptance. They want some structure. And they go, okay, this group believes this. and I get to be a part of it, and so I will act out these things to be a part of this group, and because this group said these are the things, those are the things. And that's what I love about the movie American History X, like when Edward Norton's character has to be stuck in jail, and he's with is it Guy Torry? I can't remember who's the actor. Really, he's a funny comedian too. I think it's Guy Torry. He's stuck in jail with his his inmate, and
yes,
Guy Torry's character is just like a really likable guy, and he's just like this guy who's in jail for his own bullshit, and he dropped a TV on a cop, and then they put him in prison. There's a racial a different storyline with his character, but it's the first time that Edward Norton realizes this guy, he's not so bad. He's just like me. We're both just in here folding sheets. And no matter what race he is or what his story is, we're kind of just the same guy in this cement room. And it's the first time that he realized the ideology is what's dangerous. It isn't the actual everyday shit, because most people that claim they believe these things, they wouldn't act it out. They're fucking too cowardly or ignorant or stupid. And if they had to meet anyone of a different tribe or culture or gang or mob or native tribe or race, they would be really nice and go, oh yeah, I guess these people are cool. Because that's how humans work, human to human. You go, oh yeah, well, I wasn't talking about you. I was talking about those people. And you're like, what do you mean those people? And they go meet those people. They go, oh yeah, I guess you're right. Because they're fucking ignorant. That's what racism is. Not evil. Racism is just ignorant. It's stupid. If racism's it's bad, but it isn't as nefarious as you can what is that called? You can fix someone who's racist. It isn't this evil thing that lives in them. You can fix it. It can be corrected. I don't know. Share your thoughts on that on Patreon. I don't even know if I'm making any sense. I know what I'm trying to say, and I don't know if it's coming out correctly. Go watch American History X. That's what you should do. That's a good thing. What was the video I sent you before we started?
Have you done Rogan?
I did Rogan once.
Is that walking into the...
It was, look, I knew Joe back in the 90s, and he's a perfectly nice guy. You want to hear a really tortured analogy? I was friends with a writer named Harlan Ellison, sci-fi writer, and when he was young, he was friends with L. Ron Hubbard, when L. Ron Hubbard was just a pulp writer. And he was perfectly fine. Some of his stuff sucked. Some of his stuff was good. Hubbard he would gobble a bottle of amphetamines and write a novel in a night. Novel. He could write a novel and then just go, there's my novel.
I get it.
He goes, and he was perfectly okay, and now I live in a world where that guy, my hallmate, controls a zombie army that will do whatever he wants and will destroy people. He's dead, but maybe not, and for a while he lived on a boat because he had so many billions and didn't want... how is this the world I'm living in? And I have a similar thing where I knew Joe in the 90s, perfectly fine comedian, perfectly, but now I live in a world where this guy can influence elections.
The weather.
He can affect the economy. He can affect the pandemic response. And again, Joe's a perfectly nice guy. I can think of a dozen other road comics who I'd rather have that power. And I'm sure Joe would go, yeah, there are other people that should maybe have this power.
All right. So, struggling with the analogy. L. Ron Hubbard actually started a religion and actually told people what to think and did start a zombie army. I get that half of the analogy. The half of the analogy that I don't understand is Joe Rogan can't influence elections. I mean, in any other way than anyone else famous could. When Taylor Swift was out there being you gotta vote for Kamala, and endorsing, that's okay. Those are people that just like Taylor Swift's music. You don't go, oh my God, can you believe she's influencing the election? It's no, famous people have always went and talked and said who they're gonna vote for. In fact, Joe didn't even tell anyone who to vote for. Joe had Donald Trump on his podcast. He invited Kamala Harris on the podcast, and she said that she would only do it if she got to know the questions, which is not just unique to her. That's what every famous, person, whatever it does. I wonder if Patton Oswalt would have that same energy about Mark Maron having Barack Obama on WTF.
Yeah, I think he's just saying this guy has such a huge audience that like anyone with that type of audience, it's almost crazy. And for the Taylor Swift reference, like it is kind of crazy that she probably doesn't have to sway elections and things because nobody should have that power too. We hope people are free thinking enough, but she does have power, just like she's almost like the woman version of Rogan. Like these people do have crazy amounts of power to influence.
Yeah. But I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's like that's fine. Because like if enough people like Joe, that means they kind of like what he's saying and what he's doing. It means they'd probably vote for anyone Joe would like and encourage anyways, right? Like that's kind of...
If it wasn't going to be Joe Rogan and Taylor Swift 10 years ago, it would have been NBC and CBS and whoever the heads of those networks were.
Right.
Everyone's always being influenced by something.
It's a strange analogy. Like I found it to be a little, I don't know how to explain it.
The comparison feels nefarious because when we think of Scientology, we do think of like some uglier things potentially going on. And when he says people grabbing bodies and ruining lives, where when you think of Joe, you don't really think of like, well, that's not anything that's going on there.
Religion.
Right, exactly. Like,
Joe Rogan doesn't even fucking sell merch. You can't even buy a Joe Rogan sticker. Like, what are you talking about? I think the analogy is just insane to me. And I hope that what he was trying to say was that like I knew Joe when he wasn't this famous, and now he's really famous.
I think that is the biggest part he was trying to get.
He can't
not
believe
saying
how
that,
famous he is.
Yeah, I don't think he's saying Rogan's having people run around and throw people in trucks and organized religion.
The analogy is absurd.
Yeah.
Because he's like, and now he can influence elections. He can influence like a response to the pandemic. And it's like, well, Joe has just become, CNN or Fox News.
Well, guess what, Patton? Someone was smoking joints with Barack Obama as his freshman roommate, and now is like, I can't believe that guy's got the power to nuke the world and drone strike other countries.
Right, exactly. Yeah, so I think it's...
you just learned what someone being famous is.
The analogy caught me off guard, and maybe it's because of what I've been going through the last 2 weeks with like the way people have came out of the woodwork to say how much they hate me. It reminded me of... two comics. I mean, you can't think of many comics that are more successful than Jay Moore and Patton Oswalt. I mean, those are two celebrities having a conversation about a celebrity that's more famous than them. And it's so famous. Like, Joe's in his own universe of fame. It came off petty. It came off like, did you go into Joe Rogan? And they put like a little photo of like hell. Like, did you see that? Like, there's a video in the video. If you're just listening, you can't see it, but like it's an Instagram reel. So whoever edited it, whether it's Jay Moore or his team, they put like, have you gone into Joe Rogan? Did you do Joe Rogan? And they go, is it like entering? And then they put like a little photo of hell. And so it's like, it felt like two comics, even though they're wildly successful. I mean, they're A-list stand-up comedians, being bitter about how successful Joe is what it felt like to me.
Well, it was just, he was equal to us. Remember, he's just one of us. We think of him as just one of us. Like, it's everyone else who thinks of him as famous as he is. And it's like, well, it's because he is as famous as he is.
Moore
it's not
would
that
cut
people
off his
think as famous as he is.
Jay Moore would cut his arm off right now to be on Joe Rogan. So it was crazy to me. I don't know if Patton would be invited back on Joe. I'm sure he would. I can't speak for any of this stuff. I don't know. But like, I just thought that it felt like two comedians being like, oh God, Joe's so famous. And it just felt icky. It felt like reading about comics, shitting on comics on Threads is what it felt like. But just, it felt like a little elevated because those guys are so famous. You don't normally hear dudes that famous talking shit.
And two guys who have enough murky history, if you Google them, to know better than to talk about people.
Yeah, I agree. Love you, buddy. I'm happy to be back in studio. I love all you guys. Thank you for coming. Let's look up my dates we got coming here. December 3rd, the Brea Improv. December 4th through 6th, the Bricktown Comedy Club in Oklahoma City. December 7th, one night only, Bricktown Comedy Club in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Then one night only, December 10th in San Diego, Ale Smith Brewery in San Diego. Then I'm off to Reno, Nevada, December 11th through the 14th, going back to the Laugh Factory in that casino in Reno. And then when I come back to Los Angeles, December 24th, Christmas Eve, I'm at the Upstairs Comedy Club in Los Angeles. What are you doing for Christmas?
Going back to Arizona.
You're driving back over.
Yeah, the family's got to see their dog.
Attaboy. They're doggies. You and the dog. All right, I love you guys. Thank you for being here. Rate, review, subscribe, share. This thing's growing like crazy, and I'm happy about it. Love you guys.